Hello, Jesse Rodriguez, and welcome back. Today, let's talk about communication. Have you thought about that lately? How do you communicate? What is the best way for you? And let's address the various ways in which we communicate nowadays. I'm sure all of us or all of you are aware of them, but just let's go through them and address them as to the differences or why the importance. Of course, you know there's audio, as you hear me now, visual, and written. Now, I, as a presenter in this case, have to be aware of that because I'm communicating to you in both ways. I don't have a presentation, so there's no written chart or a PowerPoint presentation, but I'm coming to you audio and visual. And I have to be aware of that because of my language. I'm trying to communicate with you, and I have to be aware of that. Am I pronouncing correctly, or is my El Paso twang too much for some of you? So maybe I had to concentrate on a little bit more on my pronunciation and enunciation. Also, we learn through questions. And that's, let me address that, why I bring that up. Before I retired, like I said before in some of my videos, I used to work for the Department of Defense. And on a particular one of my assignments, I was on a 5-year project where I had to travel quite a bit throughout the country. And as the action officer, it was my responsibility to conduct what we call briefings and tell the audience what was going to happen. At that time, we were mandated by Congress to close down what we call a duplication of processes throughout the country and throughout the world. So when I would come into a particular location, installation, I already knew what the audience was. There was going to be some emotion issues as to us doing this. So you have to understand that in your audience, the state of mind, how are you going to communicate? They're going to be asking questions, and don't take that personal. They want to learn, and through asking questions, that's how they would address their particular concerns. Credibility. When I would come into a briefing, I would give a little bit of my background. I had been very fortunate in my career that I rose through the ranks. So I had been in their place. And as an illustration, so you'll get an understanding, it was like, think of a bank. The main headquarters, then they have various branches, throughout the city, state, country. So that's what we had. I was at the command level, and now we had branches throughout the world, and we were going to have to close those down. So credibility, I had to tell them that I understood their concerns and worries, but I was going to put that at ease because we were going to be working together. So as you know, when you're addressing an audience, you can see body language. So there's another way of communication. As I was doing my presentation, I would have to take into consideration time. Was I taking too long? Was I not? Was I rambling and I couldn't myself heard? So that was one of the very key points I would make. I would tell my audience, I'm already at a certain age that I do not mind people raising their hand and correcting me as if I mispronounced or I did not clarify a particular word. And like I said, it was my job there to communicate to them certain information. So they had to understand me. So I was not taking it personal if they asked questions. And some of us are like that. We ask questions for clarification, for full understanding. Sometimes I would say, well, could you repeat that? And sometimes maybe I had not clarified that point. So that was a good question, and I had to understand that. They were not asking questions to attack. Or maybe way in the back, they couldn't hear me. So again, audio. I had to understand that I had to speak up in a louder voice, and I couldn't hold back. I had to be able to. It was my responsibility to use both audio, visual, and written. I would have a handout, and I would tell them, I'm going to be walking you step by step. You'll have names and addresses, phone numbers, and if there's something there that I had not covered, I would make sure that I would cover that, and that I was going to be coming back into town various times. So it is not just this particular time they'll see me. I had to assure them I'm coming back. So again, have you thought about how you communicate with your customers and audience? Audio, visual, and written. How do you learn? That's another way to think of communication. How do we learn? So we have to take that into consideration with our customers. What is the best way? How do they learn? I learn by hands-on. I will hear it, I will see it, but when it comes down to learning the process, I have to do a hands-on, and that reinforces the particular process or the technique that I was trying to learn. So again, communication. Give it some thought. I thank you. Take good care.